Good morning, Sandy. Sandi Gilbert from Seedups Canada, who's a new crowdfunding platform, is with us this morning to drink some coffee and have a discussion about what's new in your world.
Thanks for having me.
Crowdfunding is something that's really hit the airwaves very aggressively lately. We know that crowdfunding has been around for about a decade or so, but in Canada, what does the landscape look like now? I get the impression that it's kind of in its infancy, in a way.
It is. But in the last few years, globally, we've seen equity crowdfunding take off, meaning that I am not selling a t-shirt or a film credit for your donation. I'm actually selling you shares in my company. And Europe, UK, Israel, Australia, kind of way ahead of the curve, maybe 3 to 4 years ahead of us right now. They've been making good headway there. The US a couple of years ago announced that they were going to open up their markets and just recently have actually done that for 2016. But in Canada, it's been slow to get off the ground because our regulators have been kind of watching what's going on globally and saying, how do we regulate this properly? 6 months ago, a few of our regulators came out with a startup exemption that is very favorable for companies raising small amounts of capital, up to $500,000. And then just in the last 3 weeks, we've had good announcements out of Ontario, both from a crowdfunding exemption and a larger exemption, which actually accesses everyone now in Ontario instead of just the high net worth guys.
Right. And everybody's been waiting with bated breath for the announcements, because Ontario, they took a little bit longer than those first few provinces that made the leap. I get the impression that what the regulators are doing is they're starting to open it up and say, well, let's see how this goes. Let's do a test run with relatively smaller amounts to probably limit the damage that could be done in the market, I suspect. But I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, the regulator's responsibility is investor protection. That's what they're there to do, and they take that very seriously.
That's right.
They are concerned that people will make an investment in a company and not realize that this is high-risk investments. Early stage companies can fail and do fail. So people have to be aware that the investment that they're making in that company, they could lose all of their money. But that's the high-risk, high-reward concept around venture capital. So Ontario, a year and a half ago, came out and said, okay, we'd like to engage in conversation about how we can offer this. They've got a pretty reasonable exemption that companies now can raise capital under. But fundamentally, it means that for the first time ever, Ontario residents that are not high net worth individuals can invest in private companies. And until now, it just hasn't been possible.
That's right.
So that's a big chunk of people and a big chunk of untapped capital. My numbers say it could be $1 billion of capital. Yeah. And now we're seeing that everyone's getting together and saying, wow, if I want to put $500,000 in this company and they really need $750,000, I can put $500,000 in and the crowd can back the rest. And that's really where this industry will really gain momentum.
And getting back to what you said, the partnership model, because part of this is crowdfunding, part of this would be other financing methods or funding methods, right? And now it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's probably what the banks might be looking at and say, well, if you have a certain level of traction with the crowd, this is something we might look at, and we could throw in a portion of it or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sandy, if investors want to go register on the platform, to go look, see, and decide, where do they go?
They go to www.seedups.ca.
I wish you all the best, and I hope that you have a ton of deals and a ton of successful deals that's happening in 2016.
Thanks, and I look forward to working with you, with lots of our early stage companies, and it takes a village, as they say, so a lot of us will be working to make this happen.
I'm excited about this.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sandy.
Great.